Cristiano Ronaldo is one of football's greatest ever players. How exactly did a player of his quality have a disastrous ending to his Manchester United career? To answer that question, we're gonna have to go all the way back to August 2003 when 18-year-old Portuguese sensation Cristiano Ronaldo put pen to paper and joined Sir Alex Ferguson's Man United side. A few days prior to the signing, Ronaldo had impressed in Sporting's pre-season friendly vs Man United, convincing Sir Alex Ferguson there and then that young Cristiano Ronaldo was the player they needed to help the team reach even higher heights. Talks between the clubs ensued, and eventually Ronaldo was unveiled as a Manchester United player, with his price tag being a little over £12 million, making him the most expensive teenager in British football history. To say there was pressure on him was an understatement, with him also being given the number 7 shirt that had recently become vacant following the departure of Manchester United legend David Beckham to Real Madrid. Not only did Manchester United fans have high expectations of him, but so do people back home in Portugal, with Portuguese legend Eusebio being quoted saying, at that age, Ronaldo is not just a footballer, he is waiting to be an icon. He would enhance any team, any league, anywhere. I really believe he is that good. And he wasn't wrong, as by the end of his debut season, the young Portuguese prodigy was lifting the FA Cup, having scored the opening goal in the final, his first ever taste of English silverware, and he was hungry for more. Under the coaching of Sir Alex Ferguson, Ronaldo went from an inexperienced youngster who would occasionally show glimpses of his quality to a certified superstar. He started to score goal after goal, and his presence alone struck fear into the opposition's defenders. In the 2007-2008 season, Ronaldo spearheaded United to a Premier League and Champions League double, with his 31-goal Golden Boot winning Premier League season seeing United pip Chelsea to the title by 2 points, and his 8 goals with the UCL that season saw them make it to the final where they defeated Chelsea to claim their 3rd Champions League trophy. This season saw Ronaldo win his first ever Ballon d'Or, officially establishing him as one of the best players in the entire world. Ronaldo stayed at United for one more season, where he won a 3rd successive Premier League before joining Real Madrid in 2009 for a world record fee of £80 million. With that, his Manchester United career come to an end, and his time there was nothing short of a success. He won 10 trophies in total with the club and marked himself as a Manchester United legend. Now, we all know what happened with Ronaldo in his years at Real Madrid. He went from simply one of the best players in the world at that point in time to cementing himself as a top 2 player in football history, scoring 450 goals and 438 appearances for the club, as well as winning the Champions League 4 times Real Madrid, alongside numerous other major honours. At the peak of his career between 2013 to 2017, Ronaldo won an additional 4 Ballon d'Ors, which at that point in time made him go level with Lionel Messi as player with the most Ballon d'Ors, earning himself a €100 million move to Juventus in 2018. His time in Turin was fairly successful, with him scoring 101 goals in 3 seasons at the club, which made him the fastest player to reach the 100-goal milestone in the club's history, and during this time he won 5 trophies. However, one trophy evaded him during his stint at Juventus, and that was the Champions League, with Juve going out in the quarterfinal versus Ajax in his first season, with round of 16 versus Olympique Lyon in the second, and round of 16 once again in his first season versus FC Porto. When Juventus signed Ronaldo, the main goal was for him to lead them to European glory on the biggest stage, but he wasn't able to do this, and the pandemic caused some financial challenges for Juve, and it made sense for them to offload Ronaldo at high wages. The only question remaining was, who would Ronaldo join? Reports came out stating that PSG weren't interested, and Manchester City had no intention to pay Juve's €25 million asking fee, leaving Juve convinced that Ronaldo would stay. 2 days later, however, Ronaldo himself handed in a transfer request, and the possibility of him staying at Juve was gone. His agent Jorge Mendes upped the pace in his search to find Cristiano's new club, and it eventually emerged that Manchester United was seriously interested, as were Man City too. This left people pondering whether the next chapter of Ronaldo's career would be a homecoming to the club that gave him his big break, or a betrayal story where he joined their local rivals, and as it turned out, it was the former. Cristiano Ronaldo was once again a Manchester United player, having spent 12 years away. With every part of his career being a success story up until this point, people had no reason to believe this would be any different. Things got off to a perfect start, with Ronaldo on the second debut for the club scoring 2 goals in a 4-1 victory over Newcastle United, and in the Champions League he scored in every single group stage game he played. Things didn't remain perfect for long though. Manchester United entered a real rough patch of form in the league, and following a 5-0 loss to Liverpool, a 2-0 loss to Man City, and then a 4-1 loss to Watford, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the man who brought Cristiano back to United, was sacked. At first, things were going pretty well for Ronaldo following Ole's sacking, with him scoring 4 goals in his first 5 Premier League starts without him, including a brace and a 3-2 win over Arsenal. But then, seemingly out of nowhere, Ronaldo went on his worst goal drought in over a decade. Minute after minute, game after game went by, and Ronaldo still hadn't scored, and it wasn't until after 588 minutes of football when he finally got the goal he'd been looking for.
That's the way to end your worst drought for 13 years.
Ronaldo's on-field performance did improve after this goal, as a month later he scored a hat-trick versus Tottenham, and a month after that he scored another hat-trick versus Norwich City. However, just as things started to look up for Ronaldo on the pitch, he endured the pain I could only imagine off the pitch when his newborn son sadly passed away on the 18th of April 2022. The pain from such a loss surely would have had a significant impact on his mental well-being and in turn his performances on the field, and yet despite this, Ronaldo had the mental resilience to come back to football just 5 days later in the match versus Arsenal, where he scored and dedicated the goal to his late son. Ronaldo powered on and played in the final few matches left of the season, scoring a few more goals to end the season as United's top scorer. But despite his personal success, United's season was anything but a success, with the club suffering their worst season in Premier League history. Now, although the season just gone by was an utter failure, a new era was approaching United with the appointment of highly rated coach Ten Hag, and initially, Ronaldo was a big fan of the Dutchman. We are all happy and excited, not only as players, but as fans as well. We have to believe that next year, we can win titles. I know that he's done a fantastic job at Ajax. He is an experienced coach, but we have to give him time. Despite him liking the coach, however, Ronaldo felt United weren't showing enough ambition, with the news breaking out that Ronaldo wanted to leave the club in the summer, signalling the beginning of the end. A few days later, United's pre-season in Bangkok began. However, there was one face missing: Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, this was due to a family issue, and it's not like Ronaldo skipped pre-season his way to force a move. However, it definitely did play a factor in his Manchester United downfall, as he was barely able to play under Ten Hag ahead of the upcoming season. In the one pre-season game he did play, Ronaldo was substituted off at half-time, and instead of staying with the squad, he and some other Man United players left Old Trafford early, something Ten Hag deemed as unacceptable. Eventually, the season officially began, and after requesting to leave, barely partaking in pre-season and annoying the manager, Ronaldo found his game time to be limited, starting only one of United's only 5 fixtures, a 4-0 defeat to Brentford. This sudden lack of playing time would have made him even more desperate for a move. However, no clubs made an attempt to sign him, and he was stuck at United for the foreseeable future. One of the greatest players of all time obviously isn't going to be happy being on the bench week in week out, especially when just the season before they were starting basically every single game. However, you have to take into account that Ronaldo was 37 years old, and in the games he did play for Ten Hag, he was underwhelming. In Ten Hag's eyes, Ronaldo was better off being used as a substitute rather than a starter, and in Ronaldo's eyes, he still felt he had what it takes to be United's main man, and after weeks of limited game time, Ronaldo snapped. Towards the end of the match versus Spurs, Ten Hag tried to substitute Ronaldo onto the pitch, but Ronaldo refused and instead stormed down the tunnel in fury. He simply had enough. He couldn't handle being reduced to a bench player coming on for a few minutes. He felt disrespected. Following this, he was suspended for the next match versus Chelsea, and although he played the full 90 minutes in the next 2 matches after this, the damage was done and Ronaldo was going to find a way to leave United one way or the other. His method of choice? The interview. On the 30th of November 2022, Piers Morgan tweeted out that he had interviewed Ronaldo and it was the most explosive interview he's ever given, and the quotes that followed all but put an end to his Manchester United career.
They're trying to force you out.
Yes, not only the coach, but the other 2 or 3 guys there around the club.
At the senior executive level.
Yes, that I felt betrayed.
Disrespecting you think?
Exactly. This is why I say I don't have respect for him, because they don't show me respect for me. The owners of the club, they don't.
The Glazers.
The Glazers, they don't care about the club. Since the Sir Alex Ferguson left, I saw not evolution in the club. The progress was 0.
Those were just some of the things Ronaldo said in that interview. And while some things were valid and others a bit more questionable, what can't be denied is that after saying what he said, there was no chance he could carry on at United. 9 days later, United published a statement which read, Cristiano Ronaldo is to leave Manchester United by mutual agreement with immediate effect. And with that, Ronaldo's second stint at Manchester United had come to an unfortunate end.